So let's get on with the show. Our first presenter today is Rajiv from Talent for Startup. Rajiv?
Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Hi, how's everybody doing this fine morning?
Good. Living the dream.
We got their coffee and all set? So, just taking a stab at it. A lot of people are here because they're curious about startups. They're curious about technology, and they want to network. Am I right about any one of those three things?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, what we're trying to do here is help for startups. I'm Rajiv, I'm the founder. We're trying to help the community to do just those things, but we're also helping them to actually collaborate and work on projects together. So just a quick nod to our sponsors before I get started. Informulate is my day job. Talent for Startups is a labor of love that I'm doing. That's a nonprofit. My day job is as the founder and solution architect at Informulate. My voice seems to go in and out. Okay. So Informulate is a software, web, and mobile consulting company, and we help startups, mid-sized companies, and higher education. That's a regular thing that I do. Waco was one of our sponsors for the Talent for Startups platform. They're a consulting company, a placement company. Sevenality helped us with our brand and design. Lean Startup Practitioners is actually another thing that I do. It's a group of startup founders and enthusiasts who meet. We meet every month in Orlando. By the way, we're based in Orlando. And we talk about Lean Startup as a methodology, Agile, and how to implement that and how to build better businesses. All right, we have a lot of contributors here, people who've helped us over the course of time, and it's a nonprofit, so quite a few of them have actually volunteered for it. We're very thankful to Mike Burnett, Jesus, Frank, Romeo, Lewis, and Roland Thompson is here somewhere. There, just take pictures. He helps us get social. All right, so what is Talent for Startups? It's a free online matchmaking platform that helps startup founders connect with students and professionals that are looking to gain experience. Why is that important? Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to solve the level 0 problem, which is if startup founders who are trying to build an idea, who are trying to build something, they don't have funding. If they don't have funding, they can't build an idea. And without an idea to show and to pitch, they can't really go after funding. So they have to get their idea off the ground. How do they get off the ground? That's the level 0 problem, right? They're stuck in a loop there. On the other side, you have students and professionals who are looking to do something with their career path. They're trying to add new skills, build up their resumes, do something cool that they can go to employers and say, you need to hire me because. But they can't do that because they can't get hired to do something they don't have experience in. So they're stuck in a level 0 problem too. Now we think with this platform, by connecting these two groups that are highly motivated, they want to go somewhere, they know they have to get there, but they need help to get there. If we put these two groups together, they're going to be very successful. They're going to work on projects, they're going to learn things that are going to help them out and help them get where they want to go. Talent for Startups, as I said, is a nonprofit. We're very community-based. We want to not only make, right now, we had our MVP launch about 2 months ago, which is a basic connection platform. You come in with LinkedIn, create a profile, and you connect with other people. You message them and things like that. It's a very simple application at the moment. But we care about the community. We want to build a lot of features, and I'll get to the roadmap in a little bit. But we really want to support the outcomes from that relationship, not just the relationship and the matchmaking itself. That's what sets us apart. So that's our symbiotic relationship there. What talent wants, what startup wants, how they help each other. So let's start with a little story just to kind of illustrate the point here of how important those aspects are in terms of your career. It's a story about Jack and Diane, 2 kids born in the heartland. Okay, so let's say these 2 kids are graduates of 2012. All right, they're young, they're bright, they both are graduating from the same course in the same university with the same GPA, with the same IQ, the same weight. No, they're not the same weight, but they're very similar in most respects. Okay, so 3 years later, 2015, their paths are radically different. Jack is now a recruiter, making 35, 40 something per year, 40K per year. Diane is now a business analyst, making 60, 65 a year. Why did that happen? So let's take a look at Jack's career path and then Diane's career path, right? So Jack, when he graduated, he found it really hard. He was in the middle of the recession. He got a job as a barista. He did some multi-level marketing. He tried a few things, and he now found a job as a recruiter. Okay, that's not a very exciting story. Diane, on the other hand, when she was still in college, she started going to meetup groups, started attending startup things. She got involved in the startup weekend. So she did a project with a bunch of other people selling T-shirts and something like that. Something very simple. But, sorry. The last 1 Million Cups, we had 20 minutes to talk.
20 minutes, question and answer.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'll go that faster then. All right. So here's some of the statistics of why this problem that we're trying to solve is important. A lot of people are out of jobs, and there's still a lot of unfilled jobs. So we're trying to, the business experience gap is real. Like there are jobs out there, people aren't able to get them because they don't have the right experience. There's two very important trends to keep in mind. The business disruption is at an increasing pace. And what this means is it's easier than ever to start a business and to get traction. But at the same time, the businesses that are being disrupted are displacing a lot of people as well. So this is a trend that we're going to see accelerating. That's the problem we're trying to solve. So what did Diane do different? Because of her open network, she was able to network with people, and she was able to get connections, she was able to get placed, and she worked on projects that were helpful to her career, and she was able to build that up. All right, so Talent for Startups helps duplicate that. That's all I have, I guess, time for today.
Thank you. You know, the first question we always ask is, what can the people in this room and this community do to help you?
Thank you. Yeah, these are the asks we have. So we need help with a lot of things. Of course, anybody who's interested in that community and wants to be a part of it and collaborate on cool projects and learn about technologies, you can sign up, create profiles, and network with people. We're based in Orlando, but we got featured on the Fox TV News in Tampa recently, and we've been getting a lot of traffic from Tampa as well. So you're going to find a lot of local people too. Eventually, our plan is to expand to Orlando, Tampa, Miami, and move out that way. But right now, it's primarily Orlando and Tampa. You could give us feedback, as we're doing right now. I'm definitely open to people what they think about the idea. We're looking for sponsors. We're a nonprofit. If you want to volunteer and help us out, build a platform, things like that as well, we definitely could use your help on that. We are looking for a CMO, someone who can help us with our marketing. I'm a technical background, not much on the marketing side. Help us spread the word. If you're a community leader, we would love to partner with you and bring Talent for Startups to your community. That's a great way to help us out as well.
Questions? What? Nobody has any questions?
I have a question. I enjoyed the part of the presentation we got to hear. Sorry I couldn't talk longer because I was interested in what you were talking about. If you had to specify who you think your target customer is, who you're trying to reach, who would that person be? Like, how would you describe that person?
Yeah, so we're a multi-sided market, so it's not just one customer, but it's basically anybody, there's three sides. There's the startup founder, there's the students, and there's professionals. That's why it's multi-sided. The pitch for each one is slightly different, right? Startup founders are naturally very motivated people. They're trying to build something. They're trying to get all the help they can. It's really an easy pitch for founders, and I've told them, just have to tell the word, hey, you're going to find talent, and that's it. You don't even need to say anything more. You had me at talent. For students and professionals, they need to know why they're investing their time a little bit, and they need to, be sure that the value that they get from it is worth it. For students, it's much more easier as well because they are looking for any kind of experience they can to put on their resume. Professionals, I feel it really appeals more to professionals that are trying to move careers or switch lines a little bit, where they need that extra help. People who have a career path and they're already on it, might need some convincing. But yeah, those three different groups.
Do you have any active customers that are using this? And if so, like how much revenues, if any, have you generated from those customers?
Yeah, so we have about 250 people on the site right now. It is a free platform. There's no subscription fees or anything at the moment. Eventually, maybe a year from now, once we build a community, we might add like premium versions where you can charge a little bit to get some extra features. I didn't get to the roadmap, but we're hoping to build a knowledge base. We're going to have mentors on the platform. We're going to have gamification for how engaged you are with the site. And we're going to have events. So there's events that are starting up in Orlando in the fall. I'm actually going to do some events in Tampa as well, and people who want to get on the mailing list, please contact me, and we'll let you know. We're doing lean startup events as well as educational things. The monetization will be freemium, ads and consulting, with people who want work. Eventually there's going to be a marketplace where a lot of people can collaborate. Like for example, you need a legal expert, you need an accountant, whatever for your startup. People can start selling their services through this platform. But the basic platform is always going to be free for startup founders who want to build a profile and for students and professionals who are looking to connect.
Yeah, I just had one follow-up question. We have a number of students here today from the University of Tampa, a local private college. And just from an educational perspective, when you launch this business enterprise, because it doesn't sound like you've yet reached a profitability position yet, how much time do you give yourself to run? Like, what's your runway, so to speak, in terms of how long you're willing to go before the project turns profitable?
Right, so I've been involved with a number of startups. My day job, as I mentioned, was my consulting company. With this particular vision that we have, we actually worked on it for 2.5 years before we launched 2 months ago in different forms. So we were looking at a mentoring platform, we were looking at other things, how to monetize. Eventually we settled on this business model as a nonprofit because really we were trying to make a difference rather than make money. So that seemed to be the best suited for us because also nonprofits, what it allows you to do is accept volunteers, which has helped us tremendously because we don't have to pay that much out in salaries and things like that, so we're able to keep going at a lower burn rate. But this allows us to keep going for years because the burn rate per month is pretty low, and the only costs we have are for hosting and things like that, which is not a lot. So that's why we went with this model. Eventually, we hope that if we do get to the point where we're getting subscription revenue and we're getting grant. We're actually approaching grants as well because this is something that helps both sides of the economic equation, which is startup and business creation. On the other side, we're doing skills development. So I think we have a good pitch there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll bring you the mic. Here you go.
Oh, I just want to know the website.
Yes, it's talentforstartups.org. I should have it at the end here. Right corner there. The number 4. Yep.
Hi, I want to get a business card from you later. I'd be interested in kind of helping out and mentoring, not for any fee, just volunteering, no economic relationship whatsoever. But it's tricky for a patent attorney, a trademark attorney like I am. Florida is really tough, nasty about not developing, the Florida bar, about not developing an attorney-client relationship. So I would need some kind of stipulation that you understand this is just legal information, not legal advice. And as long as we could stipulate that, I would like to help and volunteer. And I also encourage the people in this room, I want to let you know that I'm not trying to sell my services. I'm trying to show people how to do patents and trademarks themselves for free without an attorney. But the Florida bar is very tough on me about giving what purports to be legal advice without developing an attorney-client relationship. So what I want to figure out is some way that we can get an online signature or something so I can protect myself and also characterize it as legal information, not legal advice. And as long as we can do that, I'd like to be a mentor and great.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chris. So we don't have the mentoring piece ready for the platform yet. So right now we just have the talent and the startups connecting and messaging each other. When we do build a mentoring piece, it is going to be, even right now, the connections that happen between talent and startups, we don't get in the way, or we don't put ourselves in legal liability by saying, okay, you're supposed to pay them this, or you're supposed to do that, or you're supposed to give equity. The relationships are completely up to the people there. So, I'm definitely would love to have you on the platform, but I would ask that you have your own safeguards in place when you work with someone.
Let's talk after.
Yeah. Because every relationship is different, and some people work for equity, some people are volunteering, some people are doing internships, others are working for jobs.
He's got a question over here first, and then we'll go to you next.
So it just seems to me that you're moving in a lot of different directions simultaneously. And so I'm wondering if you're building out the mentor side, you're building out the revenue model side, why are you also expanding into new markets? Like, wouldn't it make sense to focus on either product development or customer acquisition or something as a sole focus to move forward and then scale from there?
Well, it's two-sided. We can't just focus on feature development without getting the community, right? I mean, the community is a feature as I look at it. Part of what we're doing is our model is built on the network effect. It's a social network. It's a social network for getting projects done, but it's still a network where you're building credibility and you get rated. I don't know if I touched upon that, but you get ratings for the work that you do. So you're building a community of people that are talking to each other. So we need, the more people that are on the platform, the more attractive it is to other people. Just as we add a knowledge base or mentoring that's attractive to people, having a large community is also attractive to people. So we have to know that as a side thing. That's how I look at it.
Sure, and I don't disagree. I actually really like the idea. Where I'm stuck is I don't see, with the platform as it is today, the functionality that exists, how it's any different than 10 other platforms. And so to me, it seems like it would be more important to figure out this mentoring and resource and skill development piece before applying for grants, before taking it from Orlando to Tampa. It just seems like I think I would focus my efforts.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, which is why we waited so long before we went to Tampa, right? We do in Orlando for 2 or 3 months. For me, I'm a lean startup practitioner, so we look at putting an experiment out there, see how the experiment pans out, and then do the next experiment. For us, the first experiment was, will there be enough interest in people when we pitch to them to come on the platform, create relationships, and do projects online? So I believe we already have validation for that. We have 250 people, of which more than 10% have actually formed relationships on the site. They've executed work, and they've finished the work, and they've rated each other. So for me, at that point, the question of will people do it has already been answered. The question is now is can we get more people to do it? So that's why we're scaling up.
Quick question. Do you have any sort of screening process or qualifications check or anything like that for the talent that is on the site?
Not at the moment. I don't want to say no for it in the future. Right now, it's completely self-driven. So if you're going to connect with somebody, you're going to check your credentials the same way that you would if you're meeting somebody for the first time.
Someone over there had a question?
I had a question, a simple one. You have 2 words, talent and startup.
Yep.
Okay. Well, why did you pick that instead of startup talent, talent and startup?
You mean the
Because
sequence?
TS,
Or?
this is kind of a lighthearted thing. But TS means something in this society. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
But we're T-Forest.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we put a lot of thought into it, but it was what resonated, and we actually pitched this at a startup weekend, and we got a lot of traction from the name itself. People immediately know what that's about when you say the name Talent for Startups. It's 2 groups helping each other.
Startup talent. Well, you're right in the sense that startup talent is, the association would be, you have a talent to create startups or something, or reverse.
Well, you're missing the number 4 in there, Neil. It's like,
Yeah, but-
talent for startups.
It's talented people to help startups.
It goes the other way too.
I see what you're saying, yeah. All right, any other questions? Yes. Oh, we have a student. Wait, hold on, let me give you the microphone. Plus, you have such an awesome voice.
So you mentioned fundraise should be from sponsorship, right? So I just need to know what are the specific features that you're offering to sponsorship so they can offer you.
Why would they sponsor us?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, good question. So we are looking for sponsors in 4 or 5 areas. People who believe they have something of value to offer to this community, right? So it could be investors who we're pitching to, we saw some of our sponsors already, but we are also pitching to law firms, we're pitching to professional services firms, we're pitching to investment firms. So these are people that want to be in that community and they want to talk to that community. What they get back out of it is events like this where I go out and I talk about my sponsors. And we're doing a lot of events in the course of the year. We'll be doing at least 1 event a month. We're doing YouTube videos. We're putting things out there that also draw attention to our sponsors. And everything that happens on the platform, of course, they get credit on the website. Everything that happens on the platform, notifications, etc., credit the sponsors at the bottom. So there's a lot of visibility that you're getting, and the way I look at it, it's actually the best bang for your buck for any sponsor out there. People who are willing to spend $100, $200 on an event where they reach 30, 40 people. We're going to be hitting thousands of people, and we're hitting them more frequently than any other option for sponsorship out there.
Just a follow-up question. So
Yes.
basically, sponsoring you will get the same services, or is there going to be some differentiation in terms of
Oh, wait,
services
okay, I
to
think, yeah.
the sponsorship?
So the companies that are on the platform are not sponsors. They're using the platform for free. So they're startup founders. I don't really, there's companies who are like established businesses, and there's like solopreneurs, and there's other people who are just doing projects that they want to do on the platform. They're not paying us for anything. You can create a profile on that site, on either site for free. Sponsors are people who are actually paying us money. Like, right now our sponsorships are going at $2,000, $2,500 for an annual sponsorship. That's a sponsor. But people are using the platform. Yes, sir.
How many sponsors do you have right now?
We have one paying sponsor, and we have 3 sponsors that are helping us in kind.
Okay, it sounded like, as you said, you have multiple customers, so you probably have different value propositions for each of those. What are those? Like, why should someone care, let's say, about what it is you're trying to do? And did you do any research prior to launching this? It sounds like you did, because you've been working on it for almost 3 years in different variations. But what kind of research did you do to actually validate those different value propositions?
Yeah, so we started off 2.5 years ago. We pitched the idea for a mentorship platform at Startup Weekend. So our journey there was, we knew that there was a need. We saw some of the problems, business problems we're trying to solve. There's 52% unemployment for fresh graduates. There's a lot of unfilled jobs that are out there that these fresh graduates, for some reason, are not able to reach. So we knew there was a massive economic problem that's going to continue for a while. And we looked at it as how can we help these students get placed, right? And with that mission in mind, we knew who our customer was, and we looked at like what's the right problem to solve for this customer. We started with mentorship because that seemed like the area they need direction and stuff like that. We found out that mentorship is really hard to scale because mentorships are about direct relationships, and usually mentors are donating their time. It's hard to scale that out to a large number of people. But the other thing we could do was experience. And with experience, you're able to scale it out considerably. And if you had a platform like this, we were able to scale it out. That was our first pivot. Once we made that pivot, we went and did a bunch of interviews. We talked to a lot of students. We talked to a lot of startup founders. I'm very active in the community. I've been running my own meetup group for the last year and a half. As I said, we have 200 plus members in the meetup group. I'm also part of a lot of other meetups. So we had a lot of people that we were able to talk to, and we had fantastic responses. Like, we were expecting 50% would be good if half the people we talked to liked it, or if they would create a profile. And we had 80-90% responses from professionals, which was surprising because that's the group that I would expect would have the least time to put on projects like this. They had 80-90% responses, and for startup founders it was 100%. So it was really a good validation. And then we put out, we also did a pre-registration drive. So we took it to job fairs and things like that. And we took it, basically this is called hardening, right? You harden the concept with each role, with each phase. So the next time we did a pre-registration drive, would you actually submit your email address to us? We looked at the job fairs and the employers, and again, we had over 80% signups when we did the pitch. Then we actually launched the site, and I think the momentum continued. We had an existing email base of people that had already expressed an interest, and we had a great conversion from that. Plus, the story is actually a little romantic, I think, because we got coverage in like two newspapers, and Fox TV Tampa covered us as well. They came to Orlando to interview me, so I consider a compliment for something that just launched a month ago. But it was good. We got nice stories, and we got examples of people getting connected and actually taking their ideas. So we had success stories in the first month, which was awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
How do you get paid? Is what I want to know. I mean, you've got a full-time job. Are you thinking of moving over at some time and taking this over, or are you going to be able to add staff and programmers and the other kind of resources you're going to need?
That's a good question. So there's multiple paths to monetization, as I mentioned. We are still in the experimenting phase, right? So we're still trying to figure out. I know for sure that there's the matchmaking aspect has a value to itself, and there's multiple ways to monetize that. In fact, I'm in conversations with a couple of universities right now who want to tap and do a software as a service application for their community, for their entrepreneurial community, so they can have their vetted mentors. I think that was one of the questions about vetting mentors and having a clear legal boundaries of how things execute and all that. So if we're able to take a version of this, there's a lot of demand. People actually reached out to me saying, we want to do something like this for my university, and we're in the process of doing proposals there. That's another angle where we might be able to monetize it. But again, we started as a nonprofit. We feel it's a strong social mission that we can get grants, we can get other things to support us as well. So it might end up being a spin-off product or something like that. I try not to nail things down too much right now, because my approach is always to learn about the customer and react to what the customer wants. We're very data-driven, so we're always doing analytics. We're running all kinds of reports. How many people signed up? Why did they sign up? How many people reached out? How many people didn't get responses? We're very data-driven and running experiments on that. We do different kinds of experiments on a weekly basis.
Any other questions?
Just had one last one. We spoke about this before earlier today. Have you thought about a for-profit business model? So
Yes.
you have like a never-ending benefactor instead of having to constantly seek grants, and that way you would have greater validation of whether or not your idea, people are actually willing to pay for it.
Right, so we feel there is a possibility of rolling out a software as a service application for universities and certain entrepreneurial communities like incubators and things like that, where they can have a little bit more control of who signs up and how they sign up. And that would be a per seat subscription basis, and that we might end up spinning off into a B Corp, which still can accept grants, but would also be supported by the spin-off product. And I think there's a lot of demand. Like I said, we're only 2 months since the launch, so we're still in the learning phase. I think there's a lot of different ways of monetizing it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much.